I only literally realised today that Spinal Tap are not real. And I feel kind of shamed by the fact that it took me until researching this episode to learn that. I watched this episode, I'd seen it before, assumed Spinal Tap were real. I've watched this since, of course, to review it, and I still didn't realise they weren't actually a real band until I was doing some research into this. In my defence, this episode came many years after the film This Is Spinal Tap, so I kind of had a reason to believe they were real. Maybe that's just me, but if anybody else didn't realise they were real, please tell me and make me feel better. The Otto Show is the 22nd episode of the 3rd season of The Simpsons. This is directed by Wes Archer, and this aired originally in April of 1992. And it starts off with Bart and Milhouse going to a rock concert. They're going to a Spinal Tap concert, and I think the concert scenes are pretty great. It actually takes quite a lot of time to establish the main point of the narrative. A lot longer than usual, but that doesn't really feel that bad because it's quite a different beginning. You know, there are, let's face it, very few episodes of The Simpsons that are set during a rock concert, a riotous rock concert with a fictitious band or otherwise. So I felt like it was quite a refreshing introduction. And what happens afterwards, I won't say how exactly, but Otto loses his license. Or rather, he doesn't have a license. He loses his job as the school's bus driver, and the Simpsons take him under their wing to basically try and nurture him into getting a job and joining the grown-up world and helping him get back on his feet, but things don't necessarily go to plan. I really like this as a look into Otto as a character. We've had episodes before this that have focused on Otto in some parts, but this one definitely is very much all about Otto, who he is, where he comes from, what his motivations or lack thereof are. And I think he's a really interesting character. It's weird because I don't usually like characters who are quite, lazy and basically sponges on society, if you like. Which is exactly, well, he's not a sponge. And that's actually something that's in the show. He does not want to be called a sponge. He was willing to work. He was willing to work hard as a bus driver, and he lost that job. But of course, trying to get another job is easier said than done, especially when he's got no experience. But normally I wouldn't like that kind of character who's maybe not doing the best for themselves. But I think Otto's really likeable. Otto, man, is a very likeable character, and I just wanted the best for him. I think it's a very fun episode with quite a different pace. I think the humour is quite different to a lot of the other episodes. Most of the humour, I think, does centre around Otto or come from Otto, and he has a very different perspective to what we're used to seeing. Of course, Bart has some interesting character progression in this one. And I just really liked it as an all-round good fun episode that actually has some nice morals in it. Morals, first of all, about getting a license if you're going to drive a bus, but also about helping others, about looking at your life and viewing it from the wider perspective, and partly about taking risks to change your destiny. The Otto Show is a really strong episode that I think's got a lot going for it. It taught me that Spinal Tap are not real, and I still can't get my head around that. For years I've just heard the name Spinal Tap and just assumed that they were a genuine band. It's very peculiar. But nevertheless, The Otto Show is a very good episode. Not one of my all-time favourites. I wouldn't say it's my favourite from season 3. But I still enjoy watching it because it's quite a change of pace. It is quite different. A different focus. Nice to get to know Otto more as a character, so of course when we see him in episodes after this, we have a deeper understanding of the journey he's been on. And I think it's something that will speak to a lot of people. The Otto Show is definitely a very good episode.